My younger sister died December 29 now, on a Monday, 2025. Everything needed for her medical attention, we paid.
Naija, which way now?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to My Better Niger, brought to you by the Initiative for Good and Informed Citizenship. Today, our topic is what's behind the worsening medical malpractices that's killing more Nigerians. In Nigeria today, entering a hospital should offer hope, a place where skilled professionals work to heal and save lives. But for too many Nigerian families, hospitals have become places of unimaginable loss, not because of the severity of illness, but because of preventable medical errors that should never have happened. On January 7, 2026, Nigeria's literary icon, Chinamanda Ngozi Adichie, experienced every parent's worst nightmare. Her 21-month-old son, Nkanu Namdi, died after being administered an excessive dose of propofol by a doctor at Eurocare Hospital in Lagos. What should have been routine preparatory procedures before a medical evaluation became a tragedy that has shaken the nation and forced uncomfortable questions about the state of medical care in Nigeria. Adichie alleged that her son was never properly monitored after sedation. Even more disturbing, she claimed the family later learned of two previous cases involving the same doctor overdosing children. Our anguished question echoes across Nigeria today. Why did the hospital allow him to keep working? This must never happen to another child. But this isn't just about one hospital or one doctor. Chinamanda's loss has pulled back the curtain on a frightening crisis that's been hiding in plain sight: the alarming increase in medical negligence across Nigerian healthcare facilities, from elite private hospitals in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Kaduna, Kano, to understaffed government clinics in rural areas. The statistics are just so devastating, though many cases can never make headlines. Surgical instruments forgotten inside patients' bodies, wrong prescriptions leading to deaths, excessive medication doses causing permanent damage or death, delayed emergency responses that turn treatable conditions into fatalities. These aren't rare accidents, they are becoming disturbingly common patterns in a healthcare system under siege. But there is also the question of professional standards and accountability in Nigeria. Um, we have laws, we have regulations meant to protect patients. We have professional bodies. What are they doing? This, some people think, is a systemic failure, and something needs to be done about it. Today, we examine this crisis from both professional and institutional perspectives. How did we get here? What are the real drivers of increasing medical negligence? And most importantly, what must change legally, professionally, and institutionally to ensure that Nigerian hospitals become places of healing rather than preventable tragedy? In the studio with us are two professionals who know sufficiently about this issue. First, we have with us the health editor of the Medical Negligence podcast, Ms. Joke Kujenya. Joke Kujenya, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name properly. Is that correct?
Kujenya, yes, from Lagos
Kujenya,
State.
thank you. Is an accomplished Nigerian journalist, mentor, media trainer, and communications professional with decades of experience across broadcast, print, and digital media. She is the founder of the Media Mentors Leadership Academy, MMLA, now known as the Media Mentors Journalism Center. In addition to her newsroom work, she has served as a communications for development consultant for UNICEF and previously as press secretary to Senator Oluremi Tinubu, now First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Joke Kujenya is currently the editor-in-chief again of Mediapreneur and publisher of jknewsmedia.com, an independent online media platform. Welcome to My Better Niger,
Thank you
Miss
very
Miriam.
much. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Also with us is Dr. Oluwaseyi Idowu, a consultant orthopedic surgeon with special interest in musculoskeletal oncology and arthroplasty of the National Orthopedic Hospital in Lagos. Dr. Idowu, you are welcome to my Better Niger.
Thank
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Actually, there was a video on the social media not too long ago showing someone brought a hospital in a private vehicle, and the medical staff were saying that the people who brought them should carry the person inside the hospital
you. Yeah,
instead of bringing out
stretcher.
the equipment, yeah, the stretcher, and to bring that injured person in. So we see that, and now to you, Dr. Idowu, from your decades practicing as a doctor in Nigeria, help us understand the root causes. We know about doctor shortage and infrastructure problems, but there is also the question of training quality, professional standards, continuous medical education. What's going on there? You know,
Right. Thank you very much, Sadediro. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. And thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get the name correctly for the uh,
Just say jockey.
Doc,
Madam Joke for what you brought out some of the factors that are responsible for the problem. I mean, it's really sad when people go through unpleasant experience in seeking for health needs or getting their care. Um, we all know that hospitals are places where, at a point in our lives, we would all need to visit, whether it's as a patient or as a relation. And one of the things, uh, I mean, the factors that Madame has spread out are it's multifaceted, it's systemic, but it is also a reflection of the whole country as it is. We are a nation. Nigeria is a nation. So we cannot solve that problem of improving our healthcare standard without looking at the holistic approach or the overall system of governance in the country in itself. And when we talk governance, it is linked to culture. I have a slight, have this slight impression or that the average Nigerian tends to look down on themselves because the problems in the country is overwhelming. So although there may be some improvement in certain areas, we don't look at those areas. We dwell more on the problems because the problems have been there for decades. So, and the only way you can improve a system, if you ask me, is to appreciate what you have gained in terms of training or in terms of improvement, and then see what areas need improvement. So you've looked at what you gain, you've learned from that, and then you're trying to then say, look, this is still bad. We need to correct all of that. So I got what Madam said, and I appreciate your statistics when you put them out. Malpractice is high in Nigeria, but so it is in other parts of the world. And I'm speaking for someone who's had the opportunity of training in the West and have worked in Nigeria as a doctor. So there's malpractice everywhere. Don't forget, human beings, there are evil people, there are bad people in every society. Every profession has bad eggs. And when you talk about the medical community in Nigeria, there are regulations. In actual fact, the regulation of medical practice in Nigeria is governed by a law, 2004 MDCN Act. And there's the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria that regulates particularly doctors. There are other agencies that regulate.
Society.
Well, exactly. There are pharmaceutical society, regulation councils. There are councils for the nurses. There are councils for medical and laboratory scientists. So those things are in place. But just like any regulation, when we talk, okay, let me talk like a Nigerian now. Is there any sector of the country that is working well? Let's be honest with
No,
ourselves,
no
because
enforcement.
exactly, it's the enforcement that's a problem. So there are laws in place to guide people, but if we let's remove it from medicine, let's go to petroleum, let's go to NEPA, electricity, energy generation. Let's look at the works. Are they working well? So those are the things that we need to focus on as people, and enforcement of regulation and improvement on those regulations to make sure that they're up to standard. So in terms of malpractice, in fact, the Chimamanda story, she's someone I admire a lot, and it was a very sad day for me when I heard the news. But you see, the matter is in court and it's also being investigated. So it might be very presumptuous for us to start passing judgment when we don't know fact yet. It's sad that a young person has to die like that. But until the facts come out and they are proven, it's very difficult to say. Well, after every incident like that, there are things that are called reflections and learning points. It could be that there was negligence and there were certain things that should have been done differently that they weren't done, but we don't know. It could also be that some things in life are inevitable. I'm sorry to say, when a plane crashes, it takes months, years, sometimes for the investigators to come up and tell us. And sometimes they tell us that the pilot couldn't have done anything differently, or it wasn't a negligence of the pilot or negligence of the people who were giving the instructions, the air traffic controllers and things like that. But the summary of what I'm saying is, Madam is right with what she says. Multifaceted. We need to improve on our infrastructure. We need to improve on her human resources. Draw those. It pains me when I see nurses and doctors go abroad every time, because you're losing resources that the government has contributed to uh, developing. Nigeria is one of the cheapest places to go to medical school in Nigeria. I'm sure you know that, Dr. Deno, where you live. It's very cheap to go to Nigeria, to go to medical school in Nigeria. Unlike my US counterparts or people in the West who pay a lot of student loan and they have to repay back over so many years. And then the government has put that structure in place, and then you let these professionals go abroad for nothing. So those things have to be reversed, and then the regulation has to improve for us to get to speed with what we want. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll key on that before I go back to Ms. Kujenya. You said the problem is not the absence of the regulatory framework, and the issue is with actually enforcing those laws or those rules or regulations or professional requirements. Now, I think I get what you mean. There is problem in all over the country, and no one. We always say no one is excluded from the state of our nation. Every profession has problems. Journalism has problems. The legal system has problems. Or politics has problems. The education system has problems. Every sector has its own problems. So we cannot exclude the medical sector from the societal issues that we experience. But it is more tragic in the medical sector when there is a loss of life. Many of these the other sectors, maybe the focus is not as strong because people don't see the effect right away. But if a member of a family dies, everybody feels the impact that particular instant. Now, what about accountability? It does look like the medical system just gets away with it all the time. People die and nobody does nothing. Is that, and then some people also say that the investigating panel, disciplinary tribunal of the MDCN is just not doing much. We don't usually see people being held accountable for negligence. Do you think it's the same in the other in Western countries, especially? I know for sure that There are lawyers whose job is just to focus on medical negligence, and you will be held accountable if you do anything wrong. I don't see much of that going on in Nigeria. What's your insight into that? Why is it different in Nigeria? Is it not different?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think in the last few years, if you study very well the last decade, a lot is being done in terms of regulation, discipline of medical practitioners. I I know for sure that if you compare the standard of practice at the moment, to be honest, as much as you say malpractice is going on, the standard of practice, at least, well, the people I interact with in the last 10 years, it's a lot better. People are more accountable. The problem is that when a problem, we have a nation of 200 and something million people. And when those things happen and they happen, the impact is big. So people are being regulated. In fact, the case in question the story which you use as the background, I know people who are facing uh, queries, suspensions, and that's from the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria that are being investigated for misconduct. Albeit some of them are saying the MDCN has even been too proactive or too harsh in dealing with them. Do you know what I mean? So the question of the regulatory body not doing what they should do, no, I don't agree with. Don't forget that these guys have their own rights as well. The professionals have their own rights. So the regulatory body has to be seen to be doing what is right, such that the punitive measure or the queries they issue are defensible in court. I believe the medical and dental councils that can appeal court, but of course, professionals are allowed to appeal to a higher court. So justice or judicial processes, especially in Nigeria, are usually slow. Don't ask me why that is so. I'm not a lawyer, so I've never had the opportunity of working in the judiciary. But we all know that for a fact. So when things are slow sometimes, like they say in normal parlance, where justice denied or justice that is slow looks like justice that is denied. It doesn't mean that at the end of the day, some of those cases don't come to an end in a few years. The problem with media, and please don't take me, I know both of you have worked in the media. I'm saying the problem with media is that it's trendy when the matter is hot. When the judgment or definitive measure comes maybe a few years after, or people are actually absolved of wrongdoing a few years after, it doesn't make the news. I'm telling you, it doesn't make the news anymore. Because at the moment when everyone and the trend is there, everyone is concerned about the matter, it's people are looking for the news. We're all trying to look, what's the update, blah, blah. But it was because it takes time, people move on. And they don't really know that in actual fact, things have been done the way it should be done, or it hasn't been done the way it should be done, and then you can critique that process. So there are processes in place. That the summary of, I think my insight, what you're asking me, there are processes in place. Yes, it needs to improve, but as a people as well, we have this culture of not being patient with ourselves. If you want to pick out a Nigerian in the world, just look anywhere you are. If you like, be in Australia or in Mexico, anywhere, look at the man or the woman that is impatient on the queue. We're like that. I'm not absorbing myself. It's just that we're from a big nation. We're used to competing, okay, and so we don't look at that patient attitude and the process of doing things, which obviously needs to improve. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, I think Ms. Kujanya, Dr. Edowu has thrown a gauntlet at you. He talked about
Can
the
I
media.
just add something brief to that?
Sure, yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, on the issue of regulation or regulations, investigation and all that, I know, and I'm happy Biodun is online, even we may not see him. We have fought the regulatory bodies in the medical circle to promote transparency in these investigations. When the story breaks, journalists break rather, we report it, it looks hot. You hear the person in the bus, you hear the market woman talking about the story. The moment investigation starts, they block out the journalist. It's not the journalist that is no longer interested in the report. Usually they will tell us that when they are through with the investigation, they will bring out a release. In those days, we used to have people we call sources on the inside. But now, when sources are demanding from you, journalists who needs a hot story, what you cannot afford, you leave it to move on to something else. So
Yeah,
in
they ask for gratification. I just want to make that clear. The
yeah,
sources are asking for gratification. They are asking to be
it
paid.
doesn't.
They are asking to be paid. Is that correct? Your news sources are
Well,
asking to
let's
be paid.
it happens everywhere. They'll just tell
Yes,
you
yes,
that for me to get to where the meeting is, I need to do this, I need to do that. So and you don't have it. So in the issue of investigation, we are investigating, let there be transparency. If in the judiciaries, for instance, they have judiciary reporters, we have Health Correspondents Association of Nigeria, the NMA, we used to be, in fact, I'm close to them even till now. NMA, all that, they could take one or two trusted journalists into the investigation panel. Okay, listen, and we want you to report factually what you are saying here. But the moment you block journalists out, of course, we will go to other things. And that's where you think we grow cold. No, it's not. If you know, sometimes the efforts some journalists will put into see what is being investigated. Another thing about investigation in Nigeria is when the person is first taken, whoever is to be investigated, after some time you see that the thing, permit me to use the word court terms, he will be discharged and acquitted. They will just turn around to say, oh, actually, it was not negligence, it was some. Then what do? You report what they say. Unless you are there, you cannot know the facts. Transparency in getting all of these things properly reported is required also on the part of the regulatory people. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, that's what I was going to challenge you with. That where does the journalist role start and end here? Are journalists dropping the ball? But you've kind of given us an insight. So it does look like, for the regulators to do their job properly, they also
Exactly.
need to be transparent.
I'm
They don't
bringing one or
have to
two
close the
journalists.
door. They can actually achieve their objectives better if they open the door, because we're talking about communication for development here. You want to develop the nation, but you cannot always achieve it. You need insight from other people. You actually need input from the public. You need
Yeah,
the public to react, to refine your policies and do it better the next time. But
yeah,
sometimes people feel like, yeah, it is actually not going to allow them to do whatever they need to do for whatever reasons. But we know, we are all Nigerians, we know sometimes
yeah.
people just want to cover things up so that they can do whatever they want to do. Thank you very much. You said it all there, that it's going to be the government setting the framework to make things work better, and also all of us as Nigerians surrounding the government to try to get it ourselves to where we should be. Uh, Ms. Joke Kujenya and Dr. Sheido, we are glad to have you on My Better Niger, and we hope you come again. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us
you.
today and sharing your insight.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and to
Thank you, sir. Thank you.